I think we have a story that we can, that we're supporting people to think about a better place. And the work that we'll do over the course of the season, I think, will make everything slightly better. And that's a small ambition, but I think it's really important. That we'll do lots of things, lots of ideas, lots of data, lots of ways to evaluate it. But essentially, at the end of it, have we given people an opportunity to have a little bit of joy, a bit of flow, a bit of new connections, a bit of thinking that's different. In a difficult world, I think that's a result in itself. The British Council is the UK's international organisation for cultural relations and education opportunities. We work in over 100 countries to build connections, understanding and trust through arts, culture, education and the English language. And the season is not an end in itself. We've been doing a lot of work here in Kenya over the last 60 years. The British Council has been going for 90 years globally, and we'll be doing more work and more important work and more impactful work after the season. But we're also building on a really strong portfolio of connections, and the team here have been working across different sectors to make the connection between the UK and Kenya, to make the UK understand Kenya, to help the UK learn from Kenya, and also vice versa, and doing that through arts and cultural and educational connections. Why the season? So what is the season? Every year the British Council, out of its 100 countries it works in, chooses to have a season, a focus point in one or two countries. And this year Poland and us are the selected countries. Last year was France, and I've previously been involved in seasons that we've done in South Africa and Nigeria. So why Kenya and why now? I guess we're lucky to have had such a great programme that the organisation felt was right for this kind of moment of bringing it together, but it's also an amazing place that the UK is really interested in engaging with and has a lot to offer in terms of innovation, creativity and the dynamic youth population. There's real appetite on both sides for deeper and what we call partnerships. This is the right moment to build on that energy, and also it's the final year of the UK and Kenya strategic partnership, which is oversight of all the work that we can do between the government of the UK and Kenya. Our people-to-people work is a really important part of that, and we're really pleased to celebrate the work we do this year, but also the work we've done over the course of the years as we think again about that partnership. And the season is about bringing people together, and it's about bringing us together today. Artists, young people, educators, journalists, communities, to share ideas, inspire each other, and build new partnerships. At the British Council, we think this has an end in itself. We believe the culture has the power to connect us and help us tackle the challenges of the day, whatever they may be. But the best ideas are not in the room, as much as we have a brilliant team that are out there with you, with the partners that we work with, and we really appreciate your support in helping us to reach new audiences with the work that we'll do. We're especially grateful for the support and networks brought to us by colleagues from the UK High Commission here in Nairobi, the Kenyan High Commission in London, and the really great Africa Centre based in London, who's our UK partner, helping us to reach new audiences there. We're excited to see the energy, creativity and optimism that young people will bring to the season. Their ideas and ambitions will drive the future of culture, education and collaboration between our countries. This programme is as large as we've ever done in Africa, as large as we've ever done in Kenya. In 20 years of developing connections with the UK and Africa, personally, this is the most ambitious, innovative and compelling project I've been involved with. It's complex, it'll be challenging, but also I think it's going to have a great resonance for the future. As I said, it's not an end in itself, it's a catalyst for future impact. So that's about being part of the conversation. The conversation will be louder, bigger, more engaged through the course of this year, but the purpose of that conversation is to understand how we as an organisation and how we as countries can work better to improve the world that we live in. I think a huge thank you for all the team that have put together today, that are doing all the hard work and will do all the hard work, and particularly to Sandra Chege, who you'll hear from shortly. I'm already convinced that the connections we make will make the world a better place. And along the way, I hope this enables audiences to experience moments of joy and inspiration. And I guess that's part of what we're trying to do here, is that arts and culture and engagement in that, and those opportunities, do provide us individually on a day-to-day basis a chance to enjoy our day. Thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to welcoming you to season's events in Kenya, in the UK, online. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was quite insightful.
Hi. How are you doing? You know, I was sitting here and listening to Tom say all these wonderful things that are very true. Very true. And I wanted to just also get a sense from the room. Who's been here before? Have you been to the British Council before? Please raise your hand. Well, if you work here, yeah, I would assume you've been here before. But if you're a journalist and visiting with us, okay. So less than half of the people in the room have been to the British Council. And there was a program that was quite popular and robust a few years ago called WAPI, which was Words and Pictures. Did any of you come for any kind of cultural, arts-based activities here at the British Council in your lifetime? If you did, please put up your hand. Okay, so there's a Venn diagram. The one of the two people who have been here before came for WAPI, which is exciting. So it's really, so when we say welcome, it's a real, genuine welcome to the building and welcome to the arts program. And it's really exciting to engage with you today. And I hope that we can exchange and share a few things about the work that we're doing and really share the excitement that we have for our work, our partners, and this space, because it has played a pivotal role in bringing cultural actors together. As Tom has mentioned, the season is really one of the biggest cultural activities that we have run in some time, and is the biggest activity happening across sub-Saharan Africa, and we're really proud that we've been able to secure the resources to do this piece of work. We will be sharing a broad range of activities across art forms. There will be work happening in music, literature, visual arts, dance, film, and other kinds of performances. And we really do hope that we can bring that intersection of arts and education together in a way that is meaningful. We will be working and connecting audiences across Kenya, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and really looking to spark new conversations and deeper cultural understanding. The running themes, we have a few themes for the season, and you will see them in the press release. And some of them include innovation, identity, and really thinking about youth voice. Many of our partners are really committed to asking questions about what the intersection is between technology, indigenous cultures, and contemporary creativity. And so the season really gives an opportunity to make that work possible. Our goal for the season is to promote cross-cultural understanding between Kenya and the UK, and also really showcase the rich expression and ideas supporting young creators to shape their future and ideas of what's to come. Some of the outcomes that we're hoping for, that we're working towards long term, we really do hope to foster meaningful connections between young people in Kenya and the UK. We want to raise the profile of arts and culture organizations in Kenya, the UK, and across the geographies that we will work in, because also key to this program is how we bring in voices from elsewhere. We also have collaborators in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, for example, and in Italy. So even when you hear us focus on that UK-Kenya connection, we're recognizing that that connection is making others possible. And lastly, we also want to be able to support the ambitions of young people to develop their artistic practice and also access new audiences internationally. This season marks a significant milestone for us because it comes right after a massive investment in the cultural and creative industries in Eastern Africa. My colleague Dionys mentioned the Ignite Culture program. That was a big one for us. 14 countries across Eastern Africa, Kenya being one of them, and it was led here in collaboration with Hiva Fund. And this was an investment of 7 million euros across Eastern Africa. So do make a point of having a chat with Dionys to learn more about that program, some of the projects and partners that we've supported in the past. And then in this year as well, we are collaborating with MasterCard and Baraza Media Lab to expand the program that we run called Creative DNA, which is a fashion incubator looking at supporting young people to develop skills, business skills and networks so that can support their craft and elevate their businesses. So we will be working through MasterCard over the next 3 years, investing around $1.1 million, which we're really excited for the fashion sectors. And as Tom has mentioned, we see the season as an opportunity to celebrate, look at the past and celebrate our impact while looking to the future and sharing opportunities and dreaming up what's yet to come. So some of the cultural partners, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about how we are thinking about the season and get into the activities. So we've taken a three-pronged approach where we will curate some of the work ourselves, so working with our collaborators and our colleagues across the British Council to support the development of projects. So those are the projects that we will curate. And then we will commission. We have commissioned work through others. My colleague Cherop stood up and said that she manages a Catalyst Grants project, which I will touch on, and she can elaborate on with Kama as well after this if you have more questions on that. And then the third part is we intend to convene. We run a cultural heritage symposium, which Mo, my colleague who spoke first, is responsible for, which is really dynamic, and we are exploring heritage in the digital age this year, so look out for more on that. So some of the curated partnerships include a historic collaboration at the 19th International Architecture Exhibition at the Venice Biennale. The British Council is the commissioner of the British Pavilion in Venice and has done so since the 60s. And for the first time in the history of the British Pavilion, there will be a collaboration between a UK and Kenya team putting this work together. This is a really big deal for all of us because it demonstrates a step change in what the voices, what stories we want to tell, what collaboration looks like, and how platforms like the Biennale can be used to open up to new voices. So the multidisciplinary team of curators from Kenya and the UK include Kabage Karanja and Stella Mutigi, who run a Nairobi-based architecture studio called Cave Bureau. And then the UK-based curators are writers Owen Hopkins and the academic professional Catherine Yusuf. Another highlight of the work that we're doing is the commissioning work. So I mentioned that Tom mentioned that we're working with the Africa Centre in the UK. They're based in London and their mission is to educate, connect and advocate for Africa and her diaspora. And they bring a legacy of 60 years doing this diverse work with lots of networks across the UK. And they will be running workshops, presentations, exhibitions, symposia, and lots of events between May and November. So we're really excited to develop a stronger connection between these organizations, while also feeling like we are having a home for the season in London. Another commissioned project we're proud of is the Catalyst Grants, where we supported 19 projects with £5,000, which is the equivalent of 835,000 Kenya shillings, to develop collaborative projects between Kenya and the UK. We're really inspired by those projects and would like to congratulate all the 19 partners who worked together. Well, 19 projects doesn't mean 19 partners. 19 projects is a couple of people working together, so there are multiple stakeholders within those 19 projects. Of those 19, 11 have been awarded a further £10,000, which is about 1.6 million Kenya shillings, to further develop this work in this season year. And we are seeing lots of projects that are looking at theatre and dance, creative technologies, innovation, visual arts, and the use of archives. One project that I'd like to mention, just to help contextualize some of this work further, is a collaboration, a project called Making Spaces, Inside Outside, which brings together young curators from Nairobi's Go Down Arts Centre, run by John Boyer, and the Leeds Transform Festival, where they will share ideas, co-create and amplify voices often left out by the mainstream. Through virtual exchanges, shared learning, they'll develop and work together and think about new ways of working and new ways of presenting public art. In Nairobi, they will create public art installations, and in Leeds, they will be working on a festival for underrepresented youth. And they will do this collaboratively, so we can't wait to see and bring to you some of those images and outcomes from that collaboration. Through the season, we're also supporting the convening of creative minds and thought leaders, and one such partnership is with Hay Festival and the NBO Lit Fest. Now, Hay Festival is one of the leading literature festivals in the world, and NBO LitFest is a really strong emerging contender set to set fire on the global stage. In Nairobi, the NBO LitFest will take place on the 26th and 29th, well, to the 29th of June. And the theme this year is exploring alternative knowledge systems. And in the UK, in Wales, this is set to take place on the 22nd of May into the 1st of June. So we have Kenyan artists and creatives going into Wales, and we have artists and creatives from the UK coming into Nairobi as part of this collaboration. And more on that festival as they announce their themes and their collaborators. And of course, we have a website where we will have a listing of all the events. I'm just highlighting a couple just to demonstrate the scope, the scale, the partners, so that you can have a sense of what's in store. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to invite you all to the official launch of the season on the 2nd of May, this Friday, here. So this building will be converted, and I hope you will be as impressed as we are intending for you to be. We will bring in our partners, there will be music, there will be showcases, there will be conversations, and opportunities to network and better understand our work and our collaborators. We're expecting the representation from the State Department for Culture and Heritage and the Ministry of Gender, Culture and Arts, for PS Umi Bashir. And we're also expecting remarks from the British High Commissioner, Neil Wigan. So it's an exciting moment for us all, and we would really like to share it with you and look forward to crafting stories about the potential and the excitement that we all have for our creative industries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure, and I think that's coming here. When I first came here, a lot of people I spoke to said, "Oh, you used to do this, you used to do that. We used to have libraries, we used to have WAPI, we used to have that ambient engagement with young people." So we don't do that anymore. I would say that we probably invest more money and have more impact, but it's more behind the scenes, and I think that's part of having this opportunity to talk to you about and tell you about that stuff. So I think that has been great. So the deep work that we're doing, investing in the creative sector, the deep work we're doing much more through partnerships. So we're trying to be more generous by enabling Kenyan organisations, UK organisations to do the work. But that means somewhere our voice has been lost, or somewhere our recognition has been lost. So I think the season will help us to understand how we can be more banging. I don't know if we'll get to the banging that we were, but how can we be a bit more? And I think listening and learning is going to be really important. But we will never, I think, go back to that kind of public-facing organisation that we were. But I think we need to be much better at talking about the opportunities that Sandra mentioned for young people to engage, but also to always connect to our core purpose. So we are the only organisation that is funded as a charitable purpose to connect the UK and Kenya. So every project has to think about how do we have that mutuality. So that then you can start to see, well, resources, as you know, aren't particularly abundant. So how do we use our small resources, but more importantly, who we are and what we know, to make those connections? And we believe they have benefits in Kenya and benefits in the UK, but we have to find that connecting point. And I think that can feel different. And I think that also feels different because, as we've seen here, most of you haven't been in this building. We haven't invited people in. You can still see the graffiti from WAPI. A lot of artists that are big today started on the stage here. So we still think we'll have that impact in 20 years' time, but they're on stages that we've helped Kenyans to put together. They're on stages that the UK partners are putting together for Kenyans and for the UK artists. So I think we're trying to find what is the purpose of the kind of branding or the awareness of the British Council, and it's really about opportunities and supporting our partners to tell our story. So I think we haven't got it right, and I think the season is helping us to understand and listen to you how we can be better. More banging.
That's really well said. I will not add to that, except to give an example. You know, my introduction to the British Council was also through WAPI. I was here, you know, watching Dr. Pizzo, forge his career in this parking lot, and it was really a dynamic place to be. And it was because that was the kind of platform that the ecosystem needed at that time. The kind of support that the ecosystem needs now is investment. And we are at a point where we are almost full circle, having watched Sauti Sol build their chops here at WAPI into them getting investment to run workshops for their own music label from the British Council. I think that's a beautiful story, right? That it comes round and it's more deeper than it has been before. And then I just want to clarify on the question on events presentation. Is the question about innovation in platforms?
Yeah, innovation or any new approaches being introduced in the way events are organizing.
Okay. Yeah. So as Tom was mentioning, and I'd like to build on that, the approach that we take at the British Council has really evolved. And now we look at work that is artist-centered and that responds to the needs of artists directly. So even with all the funding opportunities available at the British Council for the arts and culture, we fundamentally are asking, what are you trying to do? Who are you trying to do it with? Why now? And what's the impact? So I don't have a direct response to that question, but because the British Council is not building innovations in event management, but we have had grantees in the past, like Hustle Sasa, through the Ignite Culture platform, that have been able to work with the creative communities to develop their business skills, to recognize what does it mean to use digital media to articulate your vision, showcase your products, and reach your target audiences. So in that way, we are not responsible for the innovation, but we have supported platforms that are interested in coordinating and elevating what's possible in eventing, in ticketing, and also in presenting dynamic work.
A lot more vibrancy at the Nairobi Lit Fest this year. So that's what's exciting for me. I don't know what stood out for you, but I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk about that on the sidelines. But at this point, I'd like to invite any questions from the team here. I'll ask Tom to also join Sandra. And please, if you ask your question, you can put your hand up and a mic will come to you. Ask your question and specify who you'd like to respond to the question. So introduce yourself, your media house, and your question. And make it very brief. Okay. We have one question there. Let's start with that one. So we'll take 3 questions at a time. We'll start with the lady there and across.
Good morning. My name is Kash Mandi from Delhi. The British Council used to be really vibrant many years ago. I remember I used to come when I was younger for so many activities. I know you're trying to push that back and whatever. But what else do you have? I was just discussing with Monica earlier, asking her what do you have for the youth, which I know you're going to talk about now, or like the teenagers, 19 and whatever. Are you coming back with that like it was? Because a long time ago it was really banging.
Thank you for that. Just pass the mic to name.
Okay, good morning, and thanks so much for a highlight. My name is Maximila Fula. I'll ask you just 3 questions I've highlighted down while you are giving us the brief. Okay, my first question is, are there any particular innovations or new approaches being introduced in the way events are organized and presented? And then secondly, what findings or support mechanisms are available for local artists wishing to engage with the season activities? Then maybe lastly, you talked about the season creative economy.
Grants. So the Catalyst grants were £5,000 for the initial round, and it will be included in the press release. So that's 835,000 Kenya shillings for £5,000. And then 11 projects got further funding from those 19, and they got £10,000, which is 1.670 each. Yeah, so 1.67 million Kenya shillings each.
Thank you, Sandra. My name is Fred Dongo. I work for SME Business Magazine. I also freelance. Maybe I wanted you to elaborate more on the 19th architectural exhibition in Venice. I want to know whether you are working with the AAK, Architectural Association of Kenya, because architecture is very, though artistic, it is very technical. Maybe you can give us a brief explanation. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we
Sure.
can take another question here. We can get the mic at the front.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Simon Peter from Maisdari. So during your speech you actually mentioned in terms of arts and culture, I've seen more emphasis on art, music and fashion. So just to reiterate what my colleague was saying in regards to events, events also is part of the creative economy. So again, are there other concentration as those investment channeled towards the event space, because it's still part of the creative economy?
Okay. One more?
Let me do this too.
Okay.
So let me start with your question on events. So just to be clear, a lot of the work that you're hearing me mention culminate in events. So events are at the core of the season, because showcasing and being able to demonstrate what your collaboration is will more often than not, culminate in an event. So there will be multiple events across the timeline between May and November. We have already put up a few of the events that we have confirmed, and we will continue to upload and update the site based on what we hear from our partners. So events are at the core of the work that we're doing. But because we are a grant-giving organization that works through others, we do not have grants that are about events, if you know what I mean, like developing the platforms beyond what I mentioned. And you're very close to Dion, so you can whisper to him nicely to understand what the investment was in Hustle Sasa. But you're right, platforms are important, and digital innovations within that context are key. So people who are interested and who develop platforms like that would be eligible for the grants that are coming up, and they can check out the Braid Fund. But as is, we expect that a lot of the collaborators will run events, but the season itself is not directly investing in event platforms. Does that answer your question? Okay. And then on how the Venice Architectural Biennale works, it's really dynamic, and we have been, so this has been a long time in the making. In 2023, we put out a call for applications for architects and collaborators who would be interested in working with a UK partner to develop an exhibition for the Biennale. And this competitive process, we worked with the architectural associations and all kind of interested parties. And one of the things that came to light for me in that exercise was exactly what you're saying, just how technical an industry it is. And the challenge with what we were putting forward is that the Biennale looks at that collaboration, that intersection of artistic integrity, artistic expression, while also thinking about the questions that we're asking each other in the world. So for example, it's not about who can build the best building. It's looking at the question of what is so to speak to the theme for the pavilion in Venice is geologic repair, and the creatives are looking at what does it take to repair the planet based on the materials that we've been using, the approaches to architecture, our thinking about our relationship with space. It's asking more meta questions than it is asking about the technical requirement to make a thing. So yes, we have collaborated in the sense that we made everybody aware that this was an opportunity, and there will be events where the curators will be speaking. The first one, that is hybrid, will be on the 9th of June, and you'll see it in the events calendar, with the Geologic Society of the UK, where they will be in conversation about why repair and why sustainability when we think about architecture, and how practices from the continent, for example, are already lending themselves to sustainability.
Okay. We have another question in here. Where's the mic? Please stand up as you ask your question. Kindly.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria from Radio Africa. The main focus is youth empowerment and development. Now, my question is, for that particular person in, say, Maralal and Marsabit, they might, most probably, are underrepresented, but they have the passion, they have the opportunity to show, through their creativity, to express things about their cultural heritage. So how will this program come up, or are there criteria as to how you can also source out to find them so that they can be able to benefit from it? And how best are you guys trying to ensure that it will have a long-term impact so that also the creative economy can grow in the country before we get to the global stage?
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Gentleman at the back. Please stand up as you ask your question.
I like that because these questions are very much connected. You're both interested in the approach and our ways of working. And, as I was mentioning before, the work that we do at the British Council is artist-led. And maybe let me speak a little bit more to that. And use the Braid Fund as an example. So as I mentioned, the Braid Fund is run by a partner that is called TICA, which is the Trust for Indigenous Cultures and Health. And we work with and through others to avoid the thing that you're saying. When organizations like the British Council center themselves, it's harder to reach communities and artists and creatives that do not know how to make a direct connection with the British Council for whatever reason. It could be language, whatever access barriers exist, it becomes harder if you don't work through others. So a lot, if not 100%, I think 90% of our work is done through others. And TICA are a really great example. We were really thinking about what the opportunity is for creatives who are at the beginning of their career. Earlier I said this thing for you don't really know what you don't know, right? So how do you find out what you don't know and what you need to know to be able to develop the career that you're after? So in working with TICA, we really developed a new framework for granting creative heritage practitioners, because we've seen that for the most part, people who are working in more contemporary cultures, so like popular music, for example, are more likely to gain access to funding than that young person in Marala who is thinking about their cultural heritage. So we wanted to develop a project that is specifically addressing or really framed for that context. And that's what the Braid Fund is. So that we are looking at investing in the skills, the confidence, and the capacities of creatives locally before we start negotiating and having the conversations about how do you collaborate internationally. There has to be a sense of journey. There has to be a path that is kind of clear and accessible and understandable for young people to see how they gain their skills and how they can build their networks as well to be able to do the thing that they want to do. Because also we appreciate that sometimes people don't have the formal training or access to that level of education to be able to develop or sharpen those skills. So through the Braid Fund, what we do is we have a two-step application process, because also you will see often in the creative sectors and often with accessing money anywhere, you have a really long application form that is often complicated to fill in. And so when it comes to the work that we do with TICA, the Braid Fund, is saying you can send in a video expression of interest, literally saying, what are you trying to do? Why now? What will you do with these funds? And how can it support you to do that next thing? And then if your expression of interest makes sense, and when I say makes sense, it's not from a subjective perspective. It is when you think about the money that the partner is asking for, does the activity match the ask? Things like that. Is your expression of the urgency or the thing that you're saying it has to happen now, or this is the motivation, is it clear? And is it also true? you know, someone can say that there's an endangered tribe in place X and they may or may not exist, you know. So we check for the factuality of the thing, and then also see, is your approach grounded in something that you can deliver? Can you do the thing that you're saying you're trying to do? So that way, by the time that the British Council invests that grant, you can be left alone to manage that money. So I hope that answers both questions. That question of when do you leave an artist? We don't leave artists. We try to create communities where they can tap in, thrive, connect with each other through the British Council and through our partners. But in the way that the models have been created, in this way that we say we are interested in the thing that you're interested in, that is honestly a more sustainable way of working, because you will continue to be interested, hopefully, in the thing that you're interested in. And if you change your mind, if you decide I'm no longer interested in heritage, I'm now interested in contemporary music, or I'm now interested in literature, that you can still come back to the British Council and those interests will be provided for based on the opportunity that you apply for. So it might sound a little bit abstract, but at its core, I think the key message is the way that we work centers the artist to be able to access resources, networks and funding that they need to do the work that they're setting out to do. It is not about themes or priorities set out by the British Council. It is really, what are you trying to do? Why are you trying to do it now? And how can the British Council support you to meet those goals?
Great. Thank you very much, Sandra. We appreciate all the excuse me. We appreciate all the questions and comments. I know we still have a lot more that needs to be clarified, but Ken and Alfred, if you have not already received communication from them, a press release from them, be assured that you will receive one which has more detailed information, and we're all still here. We're all here to engage and respond to any questions you may have one-on-one. Feel free to walk to any of us. Please ask the British Council team that are here to just wave or stand so that you know who to speak to. So if you have any further questions on the items that Sandra has spoken about, you can reach out to any of us directly, and we'll be happy to respond to those queries. So thank you, Sandra, for that. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. The Deputy Country Director for the British Council here in Kenya, Ms. Mukami.
Thank you, everybody. Mine is simple, just to say asante sana for coming. You are with us at the very start of the journey. I've been hearing the questions, and I think when we hold a similar press briefing in November, it will be easier for all of us to be able to track. So, what have we done in Turkana? How many people have we engaged with? How many people have we engaged with in Kakamega and others? And I've specifically mentioned those ones because we are working there in one of our arts programs, Fanara, the Skilling in Fashion. So we really do have a lot to share with you over the course of the year, and we're very excited about it. For now, asanteni sana. There is still more coffee, tea, juice, yogurt, and many other things. I welcome you to, as you're debriefing on the conversation that we've had, please enjoy what we have here. Also, we have, as Sandra and Tom have mentioned, the launch is this Friday, 2nd. If you have not received an invitation, please do let Janet know. Karma is at the back there, wave to the voters, all right? Please, they will give you all the contacts and the information that you require. And what is really great about Friday is that the partners that we are working with will be here. So it will be a great opportunity for you to get to hear from them directly. As Sandra said, we are centering the artist in all of this work, in the work that we are doing, not only in the arts, but in our work in education, our work in informal education. There is so much. Mambo ni mengi, masani machache. So with that, I want to say asanteni sana. Please welcome again. Janet will be sharing information, contacts on how you can get updates weekly, monthly, so that you are up to date on everything that's happening. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. That marks the end of our session. Karibuni for more tea and conversation.